birds. The birds are outside my window. It was a hawk. Hello. I wasn't able to get a picture of the hawk outside my window. That's so sad. Pretty bird. There's a bunch of crows around here, and they do have a tendency to land on my window. Or near my room. It's kind of weird. But that's something that happens. And I like it. I like the birds. We're gonna try and do something a little bit different. Not completely different. But we're gonna, like, do riddle sketch on this page. Riddle's birthday sketch. Hold on, actually. I think we're missing something. There we go. Now we have riddle. Oh, I hear the birds outside. Anyway, we're just gonna scooch these over. Turn it off. We'll save that for another day. We're just gonna do Riddle's sketch, I guess. I got distracted last night, and I was working on his 3D model instead, because, I'm trying to get his cape. I'm trying to figure out how I want to make his cape, and it's actually very difficult. It was like, I thought Ida's hair was difficult when I tried to make a 3D model, but, that was actually kind of easy. Because, like, Riddle's cape, it doesn't lay symmetrically on him, but I keep modeling it that way. But then it's like, I have to try and adjust it to be asymmetrical, and it's like, I don't know how to do that. So it's a lot of trial and error. And the Riddle 3D model is going to take a while. I also did a walking animation for Vil, but it made me realize I might need to re-rig some of the stuff on Vil's model. Because, like, I want the robe and the sleeves to move on their own, so I don't have to necessarily, like, animate the physics on it or something. I don't know, it's, like, hard to describe. There's, like, this one tutorial that I need to go back and, like, rewatch, like, a tutorial series, where somebody makes their own kind of stylized characters, and the way that they do the clothing, I think I need to do that for Vil. Because I think I did it wrong. And that's why when I was, like, messing with his walking animation, it was looking weird, and I'm just like, there's too much clipping. and not in a good way. And it's like, well, if I fix whatever I would need for, Vil, I'll be able to apply that to Riddle, because Riddle also has, like, a cape going on, and it's like, I don't want to have to constantly manually adjust a cloth. But it's too low poly to just put on, like, physics. Like, apply realistic physics to it, because it's, like, not dense enough or something. But yeah, I'm probably gonna have to redo Bill's rig, at least for... Because, like, I used an add-on to get his rig set up, and all I did was, like, add parts to it for things that I needed to add it to, like, again, the robes and stuff like that, and the hair. It's like, I just need to go back and delete the original setup for the robe, I guess. Which means that I probably need to adjust the weight painting too, because, like, every time I move something, it ends up moving the robe, and I'm like, something's not right here. I probably need to clean up my files too. I'm just thinking out loud, I guess, because, like, sometimes I kind of need to talk out my strategies verbally, even if it's like I might not do it, but it's like it gives me a better idea of, like, what I'm doing. Doesn't always mean I'll do it, but like it gives me a better idea of, like, problem solving. Although I could probably start on my own 3D model for my character. But, like, I want to learn how to give, like, the outfits or the character models, like, bonus outfits. Like, I want to know how to make the toggles for that kind of stuff. Because I kind of want to go back into, like, Ortho's model and add some other outfit to it, because I want to add the fairy outfit, because, like, he has already a default switch to change the hair color. It's just that I don't use it that much because it's dorm uniform Ortho. And that one doesn't really need the hair color change stuff, but it's already on there, so it's like, if I can figure out how to make toggles for, like, outfits, that'd be fun. Especially if they don't require too many additional pieces to be, like, attached to the character. Although I might just make another Ortho from, well, not really from scratch, but, like, a new model for him. A separate file, using his already existing parts, I guess. Just need to change them up a bit. But, like, I would be able to reuse, like, almost everything. It's just that I need to add, like, a pink version or something. Yep, there's this riddle we're sketching. Hold on, I need to find the... What does his hair look like again? I know he has the pretty blue hair clips. No, I didn't want to do that. Stop that. Okay, now I have a better idea of what his hair is doing. Okay. This is a bit more of a cutesy riddle pose. And then the rest of his hair is kind of the usual real hairstyle. It's just kind of swept to the side. Makes him look fancy. And this is just the sketch. I want to have a little bit of that. Oh. Full image either, because again, part of this is kind of the only image we have so far is he's kind of blocking what his outfit looks like with his arms and a napkin. Because he's a very fancy boy. I think he's wearing a tie. I'm trying to examine I'm trying to examine the picture. I have it off to the side and I'm kind of just like looking at it like, Hmm. Like, what is going on? Because the napkin is kind of blocking most of what the shirt is. Most of what the shirt and jacket are doing. But, like, we know what his sleeves look like, that's for sure. Maybe I can fix that by just having his hand kind of blocking this area here. Maybe I want his hand to be holding the spoon. Maybe Riddle will be kind to me this year. Ortho was mean. This always happens. Cool new Ortho card comes out and I don't get it. It's so sad. Oh, hold on. I will be back. Okay, I'm back. Just had to grab something real quick. It's off to the side. Oh no. I just have a little bit of like a basic construction going on here. So I'll probably have some time to work on this when we get a clear image. Because right now we're planning, we're taking our time, we're drafting. Hello, Mercury! I listened to Zodiacs by Roberta Kelly. Let me prove my love to you by Main Ingredient. Disco Inferno by Tramps, and Showdown by LL. Hello, Mercury! Welcome back. We are drawing Riddle today. Riddle Rose Hearts, because his birthday is next week. And I'm probably not going to get his birthday card again. How have you been? Same old, same old. There was a bunch of crows and a hawk outside my window today, so that was cool. Nice and simple. Hey. I wanted to take a picture of the hawk that was outside my window, but it moved when I went to do so. I'm good as usual, still listening to music. My laptop continues to be laggy. But that's fine. I continue to deal with it. Anyways, we're drawing... I'm drawing little... Because next week I want to do... Riddle's presentation. I've been doing a bunch of character presentations. And it's like, I was gonna do Riddle, but his birthday card didn't come out, and I kind of wanted to time it so that way I can get his assets ready for the presentation, where I go over all of his cards and his outfits. But that means that when we get the next birthday card, it's gonna be the new birthday cards. Next year's theme. Riddle is always the sign of the end. Hello, Daisy! We're doing the Riddle sketch today because I got distracted yesterday by working on his 3D model and crying. I keep trying to figure out how to add his cape. Anyways, this is our sketch so far. But the birthday card illustration doesn't really show what the front of his outfit's looking, so I'm gonna have to rely on Kaleem's, I think, in order to figure out what's going on here. If I pull up Kaleem real quick. Because I know the outfits are going to be slightly different from each other, but Kaleem and Riddle kind of have similar jackets going on for these outfits. Our August zooms, yes! Baby boy Riddle! I'm trying to figure out what his jacket looks like, because he's kind of blocking what it looks like with the napkin in his arm. So I need to look at Kaleem's version of the outfit real quick just to figure out what is going on here. Okay, so yeah, they definitely have different jackets going on. Riddle's looks much longer than Kaleem's. Kaleem had like one of them short jackets. Riddle has more like a proper jacket going on. But I do think they're wearing the same kind of tie, because I can kind of see something similar in Riddle's outfit. So they are wearing similar... They have like a similar style. It's not exactly the same, but it's close enough to figure out what's going on. So I think Riddle has more of like the closed jacket, and it's longer than Kaleem's by a lot. And I think they have the same tie. Oh yeah, season 2 trailer came out. Yuka the Queen and Trey's death scene. Oh, I am aware. I am very, very aware. And our queen Yuka has the same voice as Jolene Joestar, so that's even cooler. We're getting some amazing VAs for our U's, apparently. So that's awesome. I haven't seen the trailer in English, if it's in English yet. I don't really care that much for the English version, I'm sorry. I'm too attached to the JP voice cast. I feel like they embody the characters a lot better. I mean, the English cast is doing their best, but some of them I haven't really heard yet, so that's why I'm kind of like, I don't really care too much. But hey, at least that means that, some of them are getting their chance to, you know, prove themselves, I guess. At least to me. I don't think so yet. Yeah, I've only seen it in Japanese so far. That's why I'm like, oh, Yuka has the same voice actress as Jolene. And that reminds me, I still need to finish part 6 of JoJo. I haven't finished it yet. I'm almost finished it. I got to the end of the Bohemian Rhapsody fight. That was about it. I can't wait for Yuka's English voice. I am curious, I guess. The English voice acting scene is kind of dead to me. At least when it comes to like anime dubs and stuff like that. I don't know, there is a difference between dub voice work and in-house voice work. You know, stuff for like your Disney animation and your American cartoons, and voicing over stuff that wasn't originally in English. Like, there's a weird difference between these groups of voice actors, and it's like English voice acting is good, you know? But when they do dub work in English, sometimes it's not that good, and I'm just sad. I'm like, you people can do so much better. And I can't wait for Trey's death. There's so many jokes of Trey in the stairs. Oh, they're already starting. The jokes for Trey are already starting. I love it. It's so dramatic. The manga has him like a K-drama, and the trailer has it there too. I saw. It's so dramatic. I think it's kind of even more dramatic because, like, Trey kind of purposely lets it happen. I think. If I remember correctly, the scene. It's like, yeah, he gets hurt. He knows that this is, like, going around at this point, that there's somebody trying to sabotage all of the, potential Magishift athletes. And somebody tries to sabotage Riddle, and he's like, no! I won't let anything bad happen to you again, Riddle! Hopefully people understand the Savannah Claw arc. Because again, the first time around, I feel like people didn't really understand this arc as well. But now that time passes, I feel like it makes more sense or something. Because like I never really hated the Savannah Claw arc, or the Savannah Claw portion of the main story, but there was like a lot of people who didn't like it or didn't understand it. I'm like, this is still kind of early on stuff, so we're not gonna get too many crazy lore drops like what was happening later on. Because we're fresh into this new world, okay? We're gonna be experiencing crazy things, but we're not gonna get too crazy, you know? The game didn't... Oh, I read that already. But it's like, yeah. It's not that hard to understand. It's a bit more confusing to try and understand why Leona even overblooded in the first place. Because even in the main story, they're kind of confused as to how that even happened as well. But at the same time, Leona definitely had a lot of stuff that he was, like, bottling up that was getting, that was, like, reaching over into the way he was acting. Like, he had a lot of personal issues that he just tends to ignore anyway. And the rivalry with Malleus in the Magishift tournament probably just boiled most of that up to the surface, and that's why he kind of acted out anyway. Bro, when I saw that part, I started laughing. I know it's not supposed to be funny, but when he looks like he's really dying, it is a very dramatic moment when he falls down the stairs. They play up the drama so much. And Lilia being one of the reasons why Leona overblood. Yeah, Lilia really touched the nerve. Because again, Leona has a lot of personal problems that he tends to ignore. So there's already that stuff that's like bubbling underneath all of his like angst or whatever. And then you have the Malleus stuff on top. And then you have the stuff Lilia tells him where he's calling him out directly, and it's like Leona finally reached his limit is kind of what I'm getting at when it comes to the why he ends up overblooding. Because, like, why did he overblood in the first place? Even everybody else is confused, but it's like, well, he has a lot of issues that he tends to ignore, you know? After a while, you can't ignore it anymore, and you explode. Trey Riddle, no! Insert K-drama music. Trey really is trying to make up for the fact that he was not helpful in the first. Like, no, I'm not gonna let anything bad happen to you again. Even if it means I break my ankle. Yeah, that whole part is everyone yelling at the screen telling Lilia to shut up. Yeah. Cause, like, almost everybody else doesn't know exactly what's going on in Leona's life. Like, they don't know exactly why he's kind of acting the way he's acting anyway. They don't know about his personal home life. But they do know that he doesn't really like Malleus, that's about it. Like, he makes that very clear. He and Malleus do not get along. He's tired of losing to Malleus. He's got a lot of issues. And he's kind of letting most of those issues out on Malleus. And then he gets called out by Lilia for his, like, childish behavior. And then boom, he's overblooded. I know falling down the stairs hurt, but, like, why did he look like that? Oh, wait, there's a lot of stairs. Yeah, there's a lot of stairs. Also, Ruggy, also, he broke his ankle or something, like, he twisted his ankle falling down all them stairs. Although I think Ruggy was specifically targeting Riddle, though. But still, a lot of stairs. A lot of chances to mess up your ankle. And that was in Night Raven College. It wasn't even in the Hearts of the Beale dorm, which I'm sure would have been a better location to try and break somebody's ankle. Because that dorm is already set up crazy. It's just that it would have been way more suspicious if he was actually in the Hearts of the Beale dorm. So, like, you know. The regular hallway stairs. Like, let's do that instead. And there's a lot. There's a whole lot of stairs. Surely your ankle will be busted if you fell down those stairs. Maybe even your bones. Depending on how long or how many stairs you already climbed. Ruggy was aiming for Riddle and Trey, saw something was about to get Riddle. Then the K-drama. Yeah. Trey's really trying to make up for the fact that he did nothing during the Hearts of the Beale chapter. He's like, I'm sorry, Riddle. I was a terrible friend. Now I need to do better. And this is how he does better. He sacrifices his ankles. And because he's tall, so yeah. Yeah. Tall people are more prone to injuries like that. Just jumping weird can break your ankles if you're, like, near 6 feet or something. I think my cousin's, like, 5'11" or something, or almost near 6 feet tall, and he broke his ankle playing basketball. He just jumped weird, and that was enough to break his ankle. Not even break his ankle, he like broke a bone in his leg. Near his ankle. Like, it wasn't like a sprained ankle, no, he like broke a bone. is crazy. And we will see Chica! Yes! Chica's gonna be finally voiced again. Why am I saying like no? Well, he'll be voiced in English, I guess. That'll be exciting for people, I guess. But yay, we get to see Chica again, and we get to see him. I guess it's more like I'm gonna be excited for his animations now. Seeing him jump around. I never broke a bone, but I did twist both my ankles. I twisted only one of my ankles before. Yeah. That is the only injury I've ever had that required an x-ray, only for me to find out that, oh, your bones are fine. You just sprained an ankle. Video no Oshi time! Oh, it's gonna be so cute. Actually, I kind of have high hopes for the child voices in English, because so far, they seem to understand the assignment. Wait a minute. I'll go and listen to What is Hit by Tower Power. Work to Do by Beasley Brothers. Turn the Beat Around by Vicki Robinson. Bye. Bye, Mercury! I'm still confused with Riddle's outfit right now. My brain doesn't know what's going on with the outfit. I'm trying. We did get child voices for Chenya, Trey, and Riddle in English. Baby child Riddle was so cute. Yeah! My only complaint is that they're not British. I feel like that's my biggest complaint with the English casting, is that Parts Labille is like very, you know, they're supposed to be like from the equivalent of like a British UK region, except for Cater. So like, I don't know, the lack of British accent was annoying to me. And giving Crowley the British accent, I feel like, is weird. We don't even know where he's from. So I feel like it would have been better to kind of leave him without an accent. Or something. I don't know. It's just weird. And then the Insomnia have British accents, even though they're not really based on a British region. Yeah, Riddle is, though, and I feel like it's definitely stronger in the yelling, from what I remember. But it's not strong enough. Especially because it's like, why doesn't Trey have a similar British accent if he and Riddle grew up together? Same with Chenya. Like, if they're from, like, the same region and kind of similar background, even though Riddle is sort of like from a higher class than, Trey and Chenya, they should still sound like they're from the same region. Even if Riddle has the more posh sounding British accent compared to, like, Trey and Chenya. That's my complaint. At least least Riddle had an accent, but I don't think it was as good as it could be. I applaud the attempt for the British accent Riddle. It was there, but the rest of Hearts Labille kind of needed it, except for Cater. Ace and Deuce, I never saw a British. Same with Cater. Yeah, Cater is from a different region anyway, so he wouldn't have the British accent. Riddle with a British accent, and Trey was from to me. Yeah, it's funny because, again, Trey has, like, the same voice actor as the English voice for Jonathan Joestar, so, like, a British accent was possible. Like, if you were gonna give Riddle the British accent, you had to think ahead and be like, okay, so Trey and Chenya definitely need to have the same kind of accent going on. Like, they're a must. Deuce is also from the same region, but, like, a different area, so he still kind of technically needed the British accent. But, like, that kind of, like, I don't know what it's called, but, like, the one that sounds like your troublemaker. That troublemaker British accent or something. Like, that's kind of what Deuce needs. Especially when it comes to him letting out the delinquent side. I feel like that's when it should be stronger. But, like, Deuce talking normally, probably you can have, like, no accent or whatever because he's trying to be a good boy. But then he starts falling back into his delinquent tendencies and the accent pops back out. I think that would be funny. The English dub Miss Rosehearts is kind of sounds British, but also not really. Yeah, I feel like they just didn't go hard enough with the British accents for some of the characters that needed it. Because again, it's, you know, the dorm is based on Alice in Wonderland, and then there's also a specific region in the game that is based on basically the UK. And they don't really push the accents that hard in English, and I'm just like, it's kind of sad. But then you have to apply that logic to some of the other regions as well, because you have the Proxan or the Shaftlands region, which is going to be like a mix of various different other European accents, honestly. And it's like, well, how do we deal with that? And I could see Phil not having an accent because he's an actor and he can, like, change it whenever he needs to. You know, like an actor would. But, like, I guess his default speaking voice would probably be a little bit accented or something. I feel like that'd be a nice touch. But again, you would have to, like, really think hard about the world building. And I don't think most English dubs nowadays don't even give the people enough time to really think that through. But that's my opinion. Rook's VA did good with the French, and I guess Ida's English VA did match Ida. I have personal beef against Ida's English VA. Although, yeah, Rook with the French, like, that one was like a no-brainer. That was a no-brainer. You have to give him the little French accent thing. I'm still meh about Jack's VA, but maybe Season 2... Yeah, Season 2 might help give, like, a better opinion of some of the voice acting, honestly. Because, again, only one season, like, 12-ish... Not even 12 episodes, it was like 8 episodes. Not really enough time to really explore some of the voice acting. Because we were only focusing on Hearts Labille anyway, so it's like... Yeah. I do still need to at least watch the anime. I don't really want to watch it in English, though. That's the problem. I want to first watch it in Japanese and then probably watch it in English. That's usually what I like to do. I've been doing that with JoJo as well. reason. I think we can end the doodling session, I guess. We have a sketch. I can just close that out and yeah, we could just yap for the rest of the day. We can yap for the rest of the stream. The little mini yaps were okay. Yeah, I feel like that was definitely a nice touch. It was definitely a nice touch because then you get to see some of the other characters that definitely won't be showing up until much later. I was gonna say on anime site, but the subtitles are the English version. Yeah, that's also the thing. It's like, I don't want the English version subtitles. I want, like, just the direct, not even the direct, but, like, I think it was the Hulu subtitles. The Hulu subtitles were the ones that were basically translating the original Japanese script, and not just using the English voiceover script as the English subs. There was a cute Silver and Lilia one on, and Silver had a British accent. Yeah, that's the part that confuses me. That's the part that confuses me, because, like, by the time we get to more of Diasamia's arc, we definitely know for a fact that the region that they're living in is not based off of, like, the UK. It's more Eastern European. So, like, that's also why I'm like, that's weird. Ortho sounds okay, though. The Spanish version of Ortho sounds like a real kid. Yeah, I did hear English Ortho. I think I mentioned that I was like, you know what? It was good. I respect it. It was good. You got a voice actor that can sound convincingly young, okay? I was like, there's like a thing... I feel like there's a thing nowadays where they don't want to have, like, actual, like, Shota characters being voiced by women anymore or something, even though they tend to do the voices better. I feel like that's a problem with some of the Genshin voice acting, though. Isn't Sleeping Beauty, like, based off of the French version? I think the Disney Sleeping Beauty is based more off of, like, I don't know if it's Russian or Ukrainian, but it's basically Eastern European based. One of those regions. Because again, they used the soundtrack from the Sleeping Beauty Waltz, which was written by somebody from one of those regions. I don't remember exactly, but it's basically Eastern European. It's basically like 14th century Eastern Europe was like the art direction. I think there was some inspiration from one of the French versions of the fairy tale for Disney's version, but I think it was one of the Eastern European ones that was like the main inspiration for the Disney version. Same, like, I need a male VA to sound young. Yeah. Yeah, that's the weird issue. I feel like it's definitely more prominent with some of the Genshin characters, where it's like, this character looks way too cute to have a voice that just sounds like a grown man trying to sound like a teenager. Because, I mean, some of the characters in Genshin don't have that problem. I remember Bennett's English voice doesn't have that problem, because he's voiced by Christina V, and she's also pretty good at voicing young male characters as well as female characters. So it's like, why do you keep hiring dudes to voice some of these Genshin characters? Oh no, not the Wi-Fi! No! Yeah, I'm kind of picky about voice acting stuff. Because again, English voice acting in general, not bad. There's a lot of great English voice actors. It's just that for some reason when it comes to dubbing stuff, it feels like they don't really care about trying to get it right anymore. Whereas if you looked at a Disney movie voiced in like another language, they actually, like, try to keep the vibes, I guess is the best way to say it. Even if they have to make some changes to certain lyrics or whatever, it's like, it still keeps the vibes. It doesn't try to change the whole story or whatever. I look it up. Is French. Okay. Yeah, I know that there's, like, various versions of the Sleeping Beauty fairy tale in general. But I do think for at least the Disney version, it's not French. Or it's like a combination of a few other things. I don't know. Because I know for a fact they were definitely looking at Renaissance art for most of the inspiration for it. Jamil and Kaleem were okay, and Azul's VA, I hear him everywhere. I grew up with that guy, seeing him in shows I saw. Sabek's VA is also okay. Yeah, Azul's VA, I personally don't like him. I don't like him either. It's like, I personally don't like Ida's VA, and I personally don't like Azul's VA, because again, they're kind of like, I hear them in too many things, and I don't like them. They spend too much time online, and I'm like, I don't like you people. I'm sorry. I like it when VAs don't interact too much in the fan base. It feels weird. Or at least when they interact too much on social media. Like, if you're going to a convention, it makes sense, you know? The Tweels are alright. Cater sounds gay, which I'm okay with. The Pumpfury Trio I like. I don't know, I don't like Cater's voice in English. There's just something weird about it that I just don't like. It has the stereotypical English anime voice sound that's become like a meme. And I don't like it. Which is kind of weird because his voice actor as well, I've heard him in like a few Fire Emblem games and he's not bad. So it's like, what happened here? I feel like the casting director lied to me. When he said, like, we did the best, we looked at the game, we loved the game, we did it with love or whatever, and I'm like, but your casting directing sounds off, because some of these guys are actually good VAs, and I feel like you people didn't really try. I can be critical. I can be critical of voice acting, because again, these people also, like, they got talent, but I feel like, I don't know, the direction is off, and I don't want to just blame the casting directors either, because sometimes it's also the voice actors. Malice's English VA is just a goofy guy. I seen his TikTok, and bro is just goofy. Yeah, that's fine, I guess. I haven't really seen much about him anyway. So I don't really have a solid opinion on the guy, but I do think his Malice is okay. Again, because it's also not British. I think the Insomnia British accents is weird. And from what I remember hearing of Malleus, I didn't hear, like, a British accent, so... Like, I would have rather Insomnia just not really have any accent, or have, like, that vague kind of sounds Eastern European kind of an accent. Japanese VA Malleus is how everyone sees him, and Malleus's English VA is how you sees him. I don't remember much about Malleus's Japanese VA other than he voices the Phantom of the Opera. And I mean, I've seen him in a few promotional stuff for Twisted Wonderland, like the Malleus, the Malleus Dragon plushie. I guess his VA is also a little bit of kind of a goof, but I don't know. But yeah, there is that whole... I do see what you mean, though. That makes sense. And I think that's kind of funny for the character. Now I can't wait for Malleus to show up, and no, Malleus doesn't have it. Sebek doesn't have it, but Silver and Lilia do. That is weird! I'm gonna continue pointing out how weird some of these casting directing choices are, because, like, again, all 4 of these characters are from the same region as well. So why is it that only Lilia and Sebek, not Sebek, Lilia and Silver have a weird British accent thing going on, but Sebek and Malleus, who also grew up around these guys, don't? Like, they're from the same region. I feel like they really should have stuck with the idea of these guys are all going to get vaguely Eastern European accents or no accents at all. Unless, like, they say something specifically that requires a little bit of, like, an accent. But, like, again, I feel like if they actually did care about looking into the series more deeply, I feel like they would have realized that that was a weird choice. Again, I will be very critical. Because it's like, you know, I mean, on my end, it's like, yeah, I know a lot of this stuff about the characters and stuff like that because I'm keeping up with the game and everything. So, like, all of this lore is stuff that has come out much later. So, I'm just curious, do these people even get, like files or something, or like character bios from like the original creators, or do they just get the original Japanese script and just translate it in English and do whatever changes they feel like they need to do? Like, I'm curious, do they even have access to ask the original team questions about certain things? Because it feels like they don't, and then it's like, ugh. Now I can't wait for Neji, but that will take forever. Yeah, that's gonna be a long time. Because he doesn't show up until Pomfiore, and even when he shows up in Pomfiore, we don't get a lot. Like, we're gonna be getting more Neji information later this year, apparently, or whatever, when the main story starts updating. Maybe even next year is when we're gonna get more Neji information, because I think for the next update, we're still probably not gonna get Neji. So yeah, that's gonna be a long wait. A very long wait, indeed. They need Yana to help because she kind of made the game. Yeah, I feel like, from what I've gathered so far when it comes to English localization stuff, it feels like they're just given the thing, and the Japanese companies are kind of just told, like, oh yeah, we'll change this to make it appealing for like an American audience, and then they kind of just don't oversee anything. Which is weird, because at least with the Mario movies so far, as far as I know, was it Miyamoto? I think. He was very involved with the production of the Mario movie. But then again, that's Nintendo, and Mario is kind of an important character, and they already had a Mario movie that they did not like. So it's like, I understand why it took so long to even try again with like a Mario movie, and why they were very involved with the production. But it's like, yeah, like, why aren't they able to just ask Yana questions every once in a while? Or ask her opinion on how some of these characters should come off in English. Yeah, that's the Mario creator's name. Yeah, Miyamoto. Shigeru Miyamoto. Like, he was involved. And I think, I don't know who's currently in charge of Zelda. I know Aoyama was like the guy in charge of like almost every Zelda game, but I think they switched over who was in charge of Zelda. But I'm pretty sure the creators of Zelda are also involved with that Zelda live-action movie. In the Wreck-It Ralph movie, Mario's character creator called Disney telling them that Bowser held his T-Rock. Oh yeah, I remember that. Wasn't there also something about, they had to make sure Bowser was big or something? Or was that a different company? I know that they were also pretty involved with how the character should be represented. I remember hearing that. Because it's like, hey, you're gonna use Bowser in your movie, here's how you're supposed to use Bowser in your movie. If you do not use Bowser correctly, we will point it out. And if you continue to fail, we'll yoink him back. Yeah, I think. Yeah, because, like, almost all the villains in that room were pretty huge compared to Ralph. And Ralph was already a pretty big guy, too, so that was also funny. But yeah, like, I feel like both Japanese companies in general tend to not be that involved with the English version, because they're usually just told, you know, this is going to be made to appeal to the American audience or whatever, but I feel like that's outdated, you know? It's an outdated mindset. We're not in the 90s or 80s anymore where it's a lot harder to get your hands on the original version of something. We're in a much more interconnected world. As well as people who are interested in Japanese media in general do typically know more about, you know, Japanese character tropes for anime and manga. Which is why I feel like localization has gone backwards a bit. Because, like, yeah, anime and manga is a lot more popular now than it used to be, but it's still something that's not necessarily going to appeal to everybody, you know? And I feel like that mindset needs to be kept when it comes to translating stuff, instead of trying to make it appeal to a brand new audience and pretending like it's something else when it's not. That's outdated, if you ask me. In the Wreck-It Ralph movie, Mario... Oh, wait, yeah. And how they got Sonic's voice actor to voice in both movies. Oh, yeah, that too. Sega must have asked for a lot of money for that, honestly. Because some of the characters just weren't voiced. But some of them were, when it comes to their little cameos. So Sega must have paid a pretty penny. But they must have gotten quite a lot of money from Disney to have Sonic have a voice line in the movie. I don't know if Eggman was there, though. I don't think Eggman was there. I know Mario wasn't. It was just Bowser, and Bowser didn't even have a speaking role. He was just there. Zangief is from... Is it Street Fighter? I think, and he had kind of a long speaking role. That was interesting. Yeah, Roger, Sonic's voice actor, is a goofball. Eggman was there. Yeah, Eggman was there. I don't think he talked either. Eggman was just kind of just there. So I'm guessing Disney paid Sega extra for that, and I'm guessing in order to have Mario in their movie, they were going to have to pay a lot of money to have both Mario and Bowser, so they just stuck with Bowser. I think he was sitting next to Bowser. Yeah, I think they also had a similar thing where it's like, if you're gonna have Bowser, Eggman needs to be on the screen for like the same amount of time or something. I know that was a thing with the Roger Rabbit movie where Disney and Warner Brothers were like, if you're gonna have our characters in this movie, they need to have like a certain amount of screen time. And the compromise was that both of the characters were going to be on the screen at the same time for like the same amount of time. And I think that's funny. Especially because Roger Rabbit is technically like a Disney project, but it was like under that company umbrella name where it's like they don't want it to be a Disney project, but it technically is. The Buena Vista label. So it's funny, it's like, yeah, you can have Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck, but they gotta be on screen for the same time as Donald Duck and Mickey Mouse. In the Mickey and Bugs part of the movie. Yeah. And that's where you get the amazing piano battle between the ducks. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there was like a lot of weird company requests during the production of Wreck-It Ralph. When it comes to some of the more modern games that were kind of there in the background. Whereas, like, the really old 80s stuff, I feel like, was probably easier to use. Like Cubert or whatever. because like, oh, the rights for these were probably dirt cheap to use, or some of them were probably like, I don't know. The production was probably easier. It was probably easier to get some of those older characters than it was to get the newer ones. That piano battle was so funny. It was. Man. We're just not able to recreate the magic that was that Roger Rabbit movie. Which is funny because the whole live action animation hybrid thing has been a thing since like the 40s. And even earlier in like the 1920s as well. But it's like the Roger Rabbit movie was like the peak culmination of all those techniques. And we haven't been able to recreate that magic since. They tried with the Rescue Rangers movie or whatever, and that felt really weird. That was a weird choice. Also, I feel like some things don't need a sequel. Like, why are we making a Coco sequel? Coco was a great movie, but I feel like it doesn't need a sequel. It's one of those movies that is like nicely contained. It does not need a sequel. Like, you can make spin-off mini animation series or whatever. That's fine. I'm not really against that idea. Like little mini holiday specials or whatever, but like a full-on sequel movie is overkill. And very much corporate greed at its finest. Disney paid a lot of companies for Roger and Ralph. Yeah. Oh yeah, the Coco 2 thing, and oh yeah, Frozen 3. Frozen 3 also, like, why are we making a sequel to Frozen? I mean, we didn't even need the first sequel anyway. We already know the production of Frozen 2 was a mess. I wouldn't want to know what the production of Frozen 3 was. And why is Elsa's hair back in a braid? And why is she wearing pink? That's what I'm more confused of. I saw an image, I think. Why is she wearing pink? That's what caught me off guard. Because isn't she living in the woods now? Like, why? What are we doing? I feel like, again, some movies don't need sequels, but you can do mini, like, spin-off things. You know, like what they did with Tangled. Like, they wanted to make, like, a Tangled sequel, but they're like, nah, we don't really have anything for a Tangled sequel other than just making this mini special of Flynn and Rapunzel getting married. Yeah, why pink? What happened to the white? Yeah, exactly. Like, pink isn't really an icy color. I'm gonna say it. Like, it's not a very ice-themed color, so why is she wearing pink? And a make-out joke with Anna and Kristoff. What is happening? Did they not announce anything about the Gato movie at D23? Because I remember I went to see Toy Story 5 and they had like a little teaser trailer for Gato, which is that Pixar movie about the cat in Italy. I'm like, why haven't they talked about this movie? Why are you talking more about your sequels when you really need to be talking about your originals? No, the Tangled live action looks okay. Mother Gothel actor rocks. I know there's an AI image of that chick from Agatha playing Mother Gothel floating around, so I don't know. They did it, I think. Yeah, that's weird. Then it probably wasn't that big of a deal, but it's like, you should be focusing more on your originals rather than the sequels, you know? Because I want to know more about the Italian cat movie. That little trailer was funny. Like, I want to see that, you know? I don't want to hear about Coco 2 or Incredibles 3, which is just redoing the same plot again. Because like, I was hanging out with my family, like, over the weekend, and they were kind of talking about some of the stuff that was announced at D23, which was mostly sequels and stuff. So I'm like, yeah, that's weird. I know that they had, like, a big Kingdom Hearts announcement, though, so I'm not really that well versed into the knowledge of Kingdom Hearts. But, the Coco world looks cool. They need to bring back old canceled movies. Yeah, but they won't. They won't do that. They keep doing the quote-unquote safe option, which is just make a sequel of something that's already very popular and milk it till it's dry, and milk it some more. Which is really stupid because it's like, that should be sort of your filler stuff, you know? Especially if it's like the team is able to actually make a sequel that feels necessary. You can't just force a sequel to happen in a story where it's nicely concluded. Like Tangled. You know? There was no need to make a sequel for Tangled, which is why we got the little short of the wedding short, you know? Because that was all you needed. That was all that was there. There was also a series, like a TV series, which, you know, that was fine too, I guess. It's like, I'd rather Disney do stuff like that when it comes to making extended content of some of the movies rather than just trying to make sequels. Disney did have a canceled nightclub movie. What? I'm curious about that, that's for sure. And I know there was like a lot of stuff planned for Atlantis that never really went through. Same with Treasure Planet, I think, when it came to like side merchandise, because I know Treasure Planet still got games and stuff like that, but that was about it. Atlantis was supposed to get a TV series, but that didn't end up happening. Which I feel like that one would have been a good one, you know? That one would have been fine. It's called Wild Things. Interesting. I'll try to look into that. It was for kids. I need to look into that, because that's crazy. And I've seen some of the stuff that was in part of Disney's production line before, so... I think they really need to dig deep into the archives again and try and make like a Swan Lake movie or something. Or something that was from like the 1940s that never got made into a full movie. Because I know that's what they did with Frozen, actually. Part of Frozen's early development was looking back at some of the stuff from like the 1940s or whatever and being like, we can make a movie out of that. Because Frozen is like the loosest definition of an adaptation ever to exist of the Snow Queen fairy tale from Hans Christian Andersen. And I've read a version of that fairy tale, and yeah, Frozen is nothing like the original fairy tale, like, at all. At least with things like The Little Mermaid, or, like, Beauty and the Beast, you could still kind of say, like, oh, it is an adaptation of that story, even if nothing is, like, the same, because it's like, oh, well, the message is still kind of there. And Frozen is, like, much more different, I feel like, or something. It's like, I understand why you changed the title, too. Even Tangled also isn't, like, that close to the original story either, but it's like, you know, the vibes are still there. Also, for Frozen, I think we are getting an evil Ice Queen. Oh, finally, even though that was supposed to be Elsa in the first movie. I swear if she's misunderstood and not pure evil, I'm gonna fight. Oh, she's gonna be misunderstood for sure. She's gonna be a misunderstood... I was never loved as a child kind of a character. People didn't like me because I was different. Oh, and Tinkerbell. Are we getting, like, Disney fairy stuff? Or is it, like, a live-action Tinkerbell or something? Because, Disney fairies, please. Bring back Disney fairies! You can actually do something original with them, too, without it being weird, I guess. Because it's like, oh yeah, it's part of Tinkerbell and her friends. If she's misunderstood, just make her Elsa's girlfriend. And then the people who are whining about Elsa not having a girlfriend in the sequel, Disney fairies. Yes! I need to look into that now. Disney fairies. Because I liked Disney fairies. I like seeing that world of Tinkerbell. I'm still a little disappointed that the Disney fairies Tinkerbell movies didn't end with Tinkerbell finally meeting Peter Pan. I feel like that would have been a great way to end off the movies. I feel like that even could have been introduced in the Pirate Fairy too, but I've never seen the Pirate Fairy. And I think that was one of the last movies when it comes to the Disney Fairies movie series. Also, I did a post on TikTok of that trend going, letting TikTok pick my theme if I was a Disney princess. My song was the last song from the last Disney movie for the fairies. I need Peter Pan to show up, like, we got young Hot Hook. Yeah, I feel like the Pirate Fairy would have been the movie that finally kind of led to a movie where Tinkerbell and Peter Pan met. Or at least that movie could have been. No, the Never Beast was the last one. We even got Smee! Yeah. Maybe even have the Never Beast or whatever lead up to the Peter Pan reveal, but I don't think they ever got to do it, and that's sad. I made everyone cry. It's sad, because, like, that would have been a great conclusion for the Disney Fairies movies, is finally having the meeting of Peter Pan and Tinkerbell. And sort of like, you know, Tinkerbell kind of leaving Pixie Hollow because, like, well, I'm gonna go on adventures with Peter Pan now. Goodbye, Pixie Hollow. I have found my new purpose in life. Because I feel like that was always kind of part of the Disney Fairies version of Tinkerbell, was kind of just adventure, I guess, for Tinkerbell. But I feel like finally meeting Peter Pan would have been like the sort of like culmination of like, ah, yes, not only am I comfortable with who I am as a fairy, I'm finally going to be able to put my skills to use and go on adventures and stuff like that. All by one song, I made everyone sad. I know that there's some Disney Fairies movies that I never got to watch, and Never Beast and the Pirate Fairy were definitely those movies, because, like, I think around the third Disney Fairies movie, I was like, okay, so when does Tinkerbell meet Peter Pan? I think I checked out with, the movie that introduced Periwinkle. Also, why did only one of Tink's friends get a movie, and it was the last one? Yeah! That's Fawn, right? It was Fawn that was, like, the main character for Never Beast. Also, I got the Romance Tinkerbell book with Tink's sister and Perry and her new boyfriend. Never Beast is so sad. I never saw it. Because I think around the time... Because I know I never saw Pirate Fairy either. But I think it was the movie that introduced Periwinkle where I'm kind of like, okay, when do we get to Peter Pan, please? Yeah, it was Fawn. Yeah, because I know Disney Fairies, it's Fawn that's like the animal fairy, but I remember Beck from the books. I know that there was like a little bit of a difference between some of the book stuff and the movies. And I don't even think the books ever introduced how Tinkerbell met Peter Pan, if I'm remembering. Because I know there's like the Fairy Quest books, and then there's like the Disney Fairies books where it's like about an individual character doing stuff. Like, I remember that. Although, I mean, since we're bringing back Disney fairies, it would be nice if those Fairy Quest books got turned into a movie, you know? I saw fairy in pirate fairy in my grandma's neighbor house. Oh, that's cute. The Disney fairy book is after Tink met Peter Pan. Okay. Interesting, interesting. So the books managed to at least introduce it. Or at least the Fairy Quest books, because I know that there's like a lot of books for like individual characters in the Disney fairy books. And some of them take place after the Fairy Quest books, because I think there's a book for Rainy that's like before and after the Fairy Quest books, because like you have a book for Rainy where she has wings, and then another one where she doesn't have wings anymore, which is kind of sad. And I saw Neverbeast in school. The whole school was even crying. Aww. Oh, that's so cute. I think I was in middle school when like the first Hunger Games movie came out, because I remember for some reason during like the end of the year in my history class, the teacher put on Hunger Games for some reason, and I wasn't paying attention because I was reading Code Geass. Oh yeah, Rainy. Yeah, Rainy. Like, I don't know. I feel like if we're gonna reintroduce Disney fairies, Rainy would be a pretty interesting character to reintroduce everybody to. I once read one of the books and was so confused why her cut her wings. Yeah, because like even in the movies, they do bring up the fact that if a fairy's wings get too wet or too heavy, they can like fall off. So like it was interesting to at least introduce a character where that actually happens to her. Because I do believe I have the book where that happens to Rainy. I think it's either the first Fairy Haven or the second Fairy Haven. I think it's the first one, and then the second part of it, she has no wings. Yeah, she was basically... She lost her wings because she was trying to help Mother Dove and save Pixie Hollow. Her and Silver Mist be buddies, or even Frozen Off, yeah. I have Rainy in Mermaid Lagoon. I remember reading that one. I think I had it, but I don't know, because like there's like a lot of books from when I was younger that I just don't know what happened to them. Either they were donated to my cousins, or they rotted or something. I don't even know. I don't have that many books from when I was younger. The only thing that I have left is a copy of Vidya and the Fairy Crown, the manga version. Because, I know for a fact I had the actual book version of it, but then there was, like, another book version we had of it, because, like, we found one of them crushed in a drawer with the cover off. So, like, I had 3 copies of the same story. Rainy can't get a break in one part. She turns into a bat and no one knew. I know! Like, Rainy would be, like, an interesting character to kind of reintroduce the Disney Fairies lore. Or at least that story about saving Mother Dove's egg. That'd be, like, a great way to make, like, a new movie that takes risks while also using familiar characters and properties in order to ensure that people will actually want to see it without taking the craziest of risks for a new project. I don't know. Disney needs some more interesting movies. I feel like the main problem is that they've become a little too formulaic again. But because everything moves so much faster now, it's way more noticeable when they keep following a trend for a bit too long. Because I'm pretty sure even back in the 90s, there was like a point during the early 2000s where people were like, these Disney movies are all the same now. And the fairies being jerks. Yeah. Not everything in life is sunshine and rainbows, that's for sure. There needs to be a little bit of a reasonable realness in the fact that, like, oh, these characters are probably not going to talk to Rainy anymore because she don't have wings. Some of them will probably be rude about it, too. Even though Rainy just saved all of Pixie Hollow. And Video being more of a jerk. Also, the fairy dolls. Why did Rainy's doll have wings? Because there was a point where she did have wings! And then you can, as a kid, reenact the moment where her wings were gone forever. I didn't have some of those Disney fairy dolls. I had the ones for the movie. So I had Tinkerbell, Rosetta, Fawn, and Silver Mist. I don't know if we ever had Iridessa, though. I don't think we did. But I know we had Silver Mist and Fawn for a fact, and I know I had a Rosetta doll when I was a kid. And that Fawn doll, her hair was fried. And Prilla being half human. Are you saying recreating the wings? Well, you could. All of them had removable wings. Or at least the dolls I had. Also, Prilla, I don't think Prilla was human. She just had a very unique, she had a very unique talent. She was like the only fairy of her very specific talent, which was traveling to the main hand by clapping talent fairy, or something like that. Prilla just had a very specific talent that nobody else had before. I should know. I have video in the fairy crown where she shows up. Because her human laughed so hard. Her human laughed so hard it created a very new, very special fairy. Her poor human was half motionless. Aww. I just remember she had a very specific talent. And then Tinkerbell and Periwinkle were essentially born from the same laugh. I don't want my god to die, so clap if you believe. Cut from a YouTuber who did a Tinkerbell lore video. Oh, that's funny. That's funny, I like that. I kind of wish I bought that Tinkerbell doll, though, when I was still working. Because I bought an Ariel doll. And that was mainly because my childhood Ariel doll was destroyed by a toddler. So it's like I just need Tinkerbell. I don't know what happened to the Tinkerbell doll that I had when I was a kid. Actually, I don't know what happened to a lot of my dolls from when I was a kid, because I know for a fact my parents did not throw those out. And I had them for a good long time in a bag. And in a bucket. The bucket was for Littlest Pet Shops. I don't know what happened to the bucket. Which means I don't know what happened to my Littlest Pet Shops. Because most of my Littlest Pet Shops were the ones with the magnets in them. So this metal bucket that I had, I could just stick them in the metal bucket and they would stick to the sides of it. So... But it's like, sometimes I think, I want to collect the Littlest Pet Shops again, but then I see the new Littlest Pet Shops, and I'm kind of like, I don't like how some of these look. Some of these look weird. I don't like them. like, I like the ones that just looked like cute animals. That didn't have too many crazy fantasy colors going on, because sometimes I feel like they end up looking over-designed. It's like, oh yeah, this looks like a dog even if it doesn't have the same colors as a dog, but it still looks like a dog with a dog pattern going on. Yeah, I don't know. That's my gripe about some of the Littlest Pet Shops. Also, I miss when they had magnets. I liked the magnets, but you can't have magnets in kids' toys anymore because stupid kids will eat the magnets. And ruin it for the kids who don't eat magnets. That was in Tinkerbell in the Wand book. Oh, I don't have that one. I have Fairy Haven and the Quest for the Wand, I think. Or do I have that one? Because I think there's a different one. I know that there's like a Tinkerbell specific book. There's a few different Tinkerbell specific books out there. So I don't know, because I have Fairy Haven and the Quest for the Wand. I might need to reread it. Although I kind of don't like messing with it too much because the big old fold out where Tinkerbell's looking at all the wands kind of it doesn't fold in right anymore. It's kind of crunchy. I think there's another fold out somewhere, but that's the one where that fold out is the only one I think in this book actually, and it bothers me that it doesn't want to close right anymore. I got another friend of mine into Twisted Wonderland. She says that Trey may be the only normal. Oh no, she fell for his tricks. Oh boy. Which, I think it's funny because some of Trey's character stories are kind of like, they show off that he is there's something wrong with him. He's got a few screws loose, but it isn't until we see how his brain works where it's like, oh, there's a lot wrong with you up in there. I said nothing. I'm waiting till she gets to book 7. Oh boy, we've been yapping. We were yapping. I need to fix my desk, actually. I need to fix some things up because some things fell over. But that was a good yap session. We didn't really finish anything for Riddle today, which is fine. I mean, I'm saving most of that for next week anyway, and then we have this presentation where I'll be able to shove the birthday outfit in there. So that's fun. Yep. Bye-bye. So next week is just Riddle week, I guess. I'll try to come up with a better sketch for Riddle. Bye-bye. Maybe I'll even finish his model. I don't know. His cape is making me cry.